You are looking live at the Picasso Room of the Yates Estates, Pacific Palisades, California, for this edition of the Bob and Kel CleverCast for the week of September 14th. Big NFL game tonight, Eagles, Vikings in Philadelphia. Fun fact for you. Oh, I haven't done the sponsors yet. Sorry.
Oh, please.
Fairmont Hotel providing the stationery for today's show. And a Place for Joan. You'll notice that Joan London doesn't do the Place for Mom commercials anymore because Joan is run into her own issues with, being elderly and failing and doddering and whatnot. So I suggest we find a Place for Joan. If you'd like to, any of the viewers would like to email me your suggestion at my own personal email of iheartanniebaker@gmail.com. Have at it. My personal pick for Joan London, age 72, is Ipanema. I think Joan would enjoy being surrounded by high-rise luxury condominiums on white sand with lots of leggy brown women in thongs playing volleyball, and then hunky brown guys with thin mustaches running around looking hot and gay. I just think Joan London would enjoy that kind of change of pace. Others may differ. You may be thinking Berlin or Mexico City, Chippewa Falls, the Quad Cities in Iowa. Where would Joan London choose to serve out her remaining days? A Place for Joan. I've already registered it as a company on the New York Stock Exchange.
Place for Joan.
They did shit with a straight face. So anyway, those are our two sponsors.
Good.
Now, fun fact: Kirk Cousins is 2-16 against teams with winning records on primetime TV. Oh. 2-16. Paul Charchin this morning on my handicapping show on Sportsnet LA predicted a blowout tonight, even though apparently half the Eagles are missing.
Yeah.
So, and it's on Amazon Prime. If you don't have Amazon Prime, how do you see the game? Do you go to a bar that has it?
Yes. The locals can watch it on their local TV. It's on Minneapolis Fox tonight, and I think Philly has the same situation.
How can it be on Minneapolis Fox if Amazon Prime?
I know, right? I don't know either. I looked at the TV schedule tonight on the TV guide on the television, and it says that the Vikings game is on. They're broadcasting it. They have the broadcast rights in the local markets to put it on.
It must be some sort of special arrangement. There must be some palms greased or some groins greased or something like that.
Is Al Michaels still
to read my T-shirt? It's Russ Meyer, Faster Pussycat Kill T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
A real collector's item.
I read his bio this summer. It's pretty good, pretty entertaining.
Russ was apparently quite the tyrant, to no one's surprise. Speaking of movies, very exciting news. Negotiations are underway to bring the writer and director of the movie I saw last week on Tubi in Vancouver called Hello, Lonesome to the podcast for an hour-long interview. His name is Adam Reed, and it's like he's been doing it for 30 years. I mean, there's nothing about the movie Hello, Lonesome that would have you scratching your head going, I wonder what they meant by that, or boy, that was a bad cut. Just every move is true. Gentleman knows where to put the camera, and so hopefully he'll agree to come on and chat with us about how the movie came to be. Among the stars, Sabrina Lloyd of Sports Night, if you remember that Aaron Sorkin series. Lynn Cohen, the late, great Lynn Cohen, a number of other people. If you haven't seen it, I think it's free on Tubi, P-U-B-I platform. So that'll be your homework between now and next week. Also, the other exciting news I had was I think it just had to do with reading around, literacy in general. Since the last time I saw you, I came downstairs about 5 in the morning one time, sleeping my eyes, glasses dirty, looking through the wrong bifocal. And saw the first boldface name I saw was Amal Clooney, George Clooney's wife. Okay,
Right.
but through the foggy bifocals that early in the morning with the sleep in my eyes, it looked like anal Clooney. And I thought, oh my God, what a fantastic idea for a name of a punk band. So I
Oh,
registered it immediately with the Writers Guild Registration Center at their website here in LA. And as it turns out, I had been stockpiling names of punk bands to sell in case punk bands came to me and said, Bob, we need a name. Also stored there are names like Slow Toaster, Long Dirty Toenails, and my favorite, Zosia Mammoth's Goddamn Horse. Back in the early days of COVID, there was an article in the New Yorker about Zosia Mammoth buying a horse. A rich girl gets a pony. Who gave a damn? And
hmm.
I wrote the New Yorker an angry letter as if I were Ben Stiller in Greenberg. And the rest is history.
I thought you might have saw Anal Clooney on Pornhub.
Interesting you should bring that up. I was the center of controversy this morning nationally when I was again reading. I was reading the Washington Post website, and there was a story about Princess Martha Louise of Norway and her upcoming nuptials with a smooth talking, slow walking African born shaman from Great Britain. They're about to be married. And so, me with the flip comment, I go to the comment section
Well, you in
and
the
I swear to
comments
you,
section.
if anybody wants to see it, go to the comment section for this particular story in the Washington Post, and you'll see a man named Bob Yates saying, I think I saw these two on Pornhub. I immediately, and then somebody responds by saying, LOL, what category? And I came back and said, well, I think it was either BBC or interracial. BBC, of course, stands for Big Black Who's It What's It's. And I immediately heard from the Washington Post by email to tell me that I have been banned
Oh
from their
no.
website comments for 7 days. I can't comment on a Washington Post article for 7 days, which now means that I've been banned in St. Paul by the Pioneer Press. I
Okay.
wear that as a badge of honor.
Sure.
And I've been banned by the San Francisco Chronicle. Now, think of that for a second. Banned in San Francisco, a city where they shoot up and die on the street right in front of you. The men have anal sex in the aisles of the bookstores. A guy goes into Paul Pelosi's house in the middle of the night, hits him on the head with a hammer. I've, I've been banned in San
No.
Francisco. I just find that hilarious.
No, it's
But
crazy.
just reading around, there's all kinds of ways to get into trouble, to have fun just reading.
Oh, it's a blast.
Anal Clooney and Washington Post, Martha Louise. Her name is Princess Martha Louise of Norway. She's getting married.
Before you got banned, did you get a plug in for the podcast?
Oh, you know what? I should have, and I didn't. And
Oh,
I think
if you
I
love
think
these
there's some
comments,
sort of
check us out.
I think there's some sort of unofficial cooperation with Pornhub. They've been mentioned so many times on this particular website that I think they've entered into an unofficial cooperation agreement with us.
Afraid so.
And then I was going to ask you, I was going to tell you a couple of things about books I've been reading around in. One was a new book about the Allman Brothers. Fun fact, and this is what I learned from just reading around in it. I don't read it cover to cover. I just skim it like it's a magazine. I
Oh,
put my finger down and I read a fun fact. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm locked in.
Barry Oakley, the second Allman brother to die of a motorcycle wreck.
Okay.
He didn't get the memo sent out by Dwayne Allman, who
Right.
died of his motorcycle. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The girlfriend of Barry Oakley had been married to John Densmore, drummer for the Doors.
Right.
And after Barry Oakley died, she went on to become the ex-wife of Chuck Negron of Three Dog Night.
Oh, she got around. That's a trifecta right there.
She preferred. Oh, that reminds me. This shaman who's marrying Princess Martha Stewart or Martha Louise or whatever it is of Norway says that women who have been too active sexually develop imprints on their lower body, like parking lot dings, that have to be knocked out at some sort of transcendental body shop. The guy
Well,
is wacky. You can just tell that he's a silver-tongued devil, and he's taking this princess to the cleaners.
you've heard of rejuvenation, correct? Isn't that
Yes,
what it is? Knocking the dents
yes,
out of there?
yeah. I think it
Okay.
started out here. Yeah,
Okay.
that and fat freezing. started in LA. Yeah.
That
And
crazy.
then one other fun fact I learned just from reading around in a book
Just
about
reading.
female abstract expressionists. My favorite one, Joan Mitchell. She was to the manor born in Chicago, and her father was the preeminent dermatologist of that era. This would be 1920s and 30s. Okay. This man, well, I'm trying to think of what his name was now. Obviously, his last name was Mitchell, but dermatologist, matter of fact, head of the American Dermatological Association. He knew his skin diseases, okay? I would have thought that the mob would have wanted someone to treat Capone for urological stuff because Capone had syphilis. They kidnapped this dermatologist, put a black hood over his head, and drove him to Capone so he could treat Capone's syphilis. So help me God.
Just
Isn't that
reading
nuts?
around. You're just
Just
reading
reading
around.
around, just knocking around various neighborhoods, various literary neighborhoods. Have you read anything recently in a magazine or a book or
No,
anything that would be of interest to us?
I don't know. I'm just now reading the Elvis Costello bio.
Oh man, maybe someday he'll write an epilogue to that. He'll come back in a future edition and write an epilogue as to why he appeared at the Greek Theater recently when he had no voice and took our money anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just always amazed that he's with how long has he been with Diane Krall now? About 10
I got to
years?
believe like 25 years. Did he say
25.
anything in there about her maybe going down on the first date, putting out on the first date?
I
Did he
haven't gotten to
mention her in
that
that
point. I'm just
vein?
kind of he jumps around. I'm in kind of the Beatles years when he was hobnobbing around with Sir Paul and such. So it's kind of
What
interesting.
about on Saturday Night Live when he told him he was going to do a certain song and then
Yes.
switched gears and did the other song and was banned from Saturday Night
I
Live?
know. I'm excited to hear that too. I'm wanting to hear that story. So yeah, there's some good
Now
stuff in there.
that's right there.
I
That's
gotta
a band to tell your grandkids about.
yeah.
Being banned from the San Francisco Chronicle, the Washington Post, St. Paul Pioneer Press, that's nothing. That's small potatoes. I
Hmm.
shouldn't puff my chest about that, but I'm gonna.
You should.
Tell me something about the literacy in your home. I've been curious about this because I really admire the aptitude of people who are at the very least bilingual. I couldn't get the hang of being bilingual. My Monday night Spanish class in
Huh.
college started in what year? 1969, which also started in what year? Monday Night Football. Never went to class. So
Oh,
I did not learn much Spanish as a result. And I've always admired the ability, no matter what the person was, what the language was, to know a different word for forehead, hair, eye, nose, mouth in another language. That and how to play a musical instrument, that aptitude has always just blown my mind. Did your wife tell you at what age she was when she first became fluent in English?
yeah. I mean, she came over here when she was 15 years old as a foreign exchange student. So she was quite fluent by that point. I would say she was in her early teens, maybe late tweens. Yeah.
Crazy. Because I do business across sneeze shields with people at Ralph's Delis here, Ralph's Grocery Delis, who are Hispanic, and you can tell that only within recent years have they learned the language, and they're so proud to be able to speak to you in your own language. It does my heart good. And I just, again, on the tennis tour, I knew guys who spoke four or five languages who came from Europe. Drysdale from South Africa spoke Dutch because
Mm.
that's the language there, just like Portuguese is in Brazil. Jose Mourinho from the soccer world speaks five or six languages because when you grow up in Europe, like he did in Portugal, everybody next door speaks a different language. It's like Texas in this country might have a different language from Oklahoma or New
Right.
Mexico or
Sure.
Louisiana. So you have to learn them all if you're going to get around Europe and
Well,
communicate with anybody.
think about your typical soccer team. About everybody there's a person from every country on a team, and so it's like got to be like a Babel situation where everybody is, trying to communicate without being. I mean, of course, they probably know words that are kind of universal, but still, that's just amazing to me.
Yeah,
The ref has got different languages being yelled at him at different times during a game.
yeah. When I see somebody playing a musical instrument, playing it well, wouldn't have to play it well, just trying it, I think, takes balls.
Hmm.
I admire that kind of courage and aptitude, just like coming to another country and learning their language. She didn't know a word of English before she arrived here.
I mean, yeah, I don't think so. I think she knew. No, I think she studied. She studied as in grade school, and then when she came here, I mean, she graduated high school in Paradise, California. Do
I
you know
didn't
where?
know that.
Yeah, yeah,
The paradise that burned.
yes. Isn't that crazy? She went there.
Whoa!
She
See
went to
what you
that
can learn just by reading around.
reading
You're reading
around,
people's thoughts and
asking a
talk,
question. Just
talking
ask a
to them
simple
and
question.
reading around in their books. She
Yes,
got out of paradise just in time.
she did.
That
She went
that
back to
town was,
Argentina, started going to college there, and then she came back here at eventually and met me, and the rest is history.
and the rest is frequent flyer miles history.
Oh
Apparently,
yes.
Paradise, California. It didn't
Hmm.
exist. It burned. It was leveled.
Well, I mean, it's
That's nuts.
disaster follows this woman around. There was paradise, and then night she arrived in the U.S. right after 9/11, and then of course the greatest disaster, Kel.
Well, I was just going to ask, is her green card displayed in a place of honor in the home?
It isn't. It isn't. It should be, but it isn't.
Was she under the gun to learn English and start assimilating with Americans, or would she be shipped back, or could a person come here in those days and say, "I'm pulling up stakes. I want to be an American, and I'm going to learn English"? How did that
Yeah.
go?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I mean, as long as I've known her, she's spoken very good English. So it's like I'm always impressed. I think she you always learn more in that when you're speaking in the country that you want to learn to speak. Like I've never spoken more Spanish than when I went to Argentina. That was a chance to be immersed. You have to be immersed in the
Right.
world.
Well, your children went to immersion schools, right?
Correct. Correct. Yep. They're both fluent. So I mean, they don't
That's
speak that
awesome.
much, but
So
they when
your children can speak fluent English and Spanish.
correct, they're dual citizens.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Brazil with the Portuguese, South Africa with the Dutch, and the other countries, that have their own. Well, like there's a supposedly in Switzerland, there's a kind of French, or there's a
Okay.
Swiss French, and there are several different kinds of languages within certain countries. It's just, the challenge to the intellect. I don't have the mettle to.
Well, you must know a little Yiddish, don't you?
I was able to speak fluent Monday Night Football after the year 1969. I remember the first game to this day. Joe Namath leading the New York Jets
I as well.
into Cleveland to do battle with the Cleveland Browns. And speaking of the Jets, how's that for a segue?
No.
Here's how I think it sounded at halftime this past Monday night.
Oh, little impression.
Here's Aaron Rodgers standing in front of these four behemoths who pretended to be his offensive line. He's got the ski boot on and whatnot.
Hmm.
He's grimacing in pain. He says, "For the last 7 months, you had one job, and that was to come up with various offensive schemes to counter defensive schemes to protect your elderly quarterback. You had one job, and it lasted 4 plays.
Hmm. From what I
4 plays.
understand, yeah, from what I understand in Hard Knocks, you ever seen the HBO show Hard Knocks?
I heard about it, but I've never watched it.
One of the big deals was they were basically riding the offensive line saying, "You guys better get your act together, because you are the reason that this can continue to happen." And of course, they failed miserably.
I feel sorry for little Zach Wilson. His name is being taken in vain all over the
Oh, I
world.
know it.
You want to talk about people who know different languages all around the world in 240 different languages. Zach
I'm
Wilson, really?
I'm still
Everybody's saying that.
I'm still not convinced Rodgers was going to be the end all be all to take them to the Super Bowl, but I guess probably better than Zach Wilson, I guess.
What ridiculous speculation, too, that is his career over? Of course it's over. He's
You're
40
right.
years old.
But
He
he
just tore
said
his
he's going to
Achilles.
rise from the ashes and do it again like a phoenix out of
Did,
Arizona.
did you see the quote? And I know he's a Trumper and all, but he's sounding more like Trump. I will rise yet again. And I'm going, all right, happy
Yeah,
Easter.
right.
And Trump's out there saying, I'm being indicted for you to save you from your sins. There's all these messiahs out there. I can't keep track of them.
What's his drug of choice that he goes out into the desert and do? What is it? Ayahuasca?
Which one you talking about, Trump or Rodgers?
Rodgers.
I don't know what Aaron
I'm surprised you don't know about
put into
ayahuasca.
his
Do you know
veins
about
in the.
ayahuasca? It's what the hippies do out in the
Oh
desert.
no, I think you're thinking of ivermectin, which is the horse warmer that he proposed during the pandemic. Didn't
Oh,
he? Didn't he endorse ivermectin, the horse warmer,
I
during
don't
the
know about
pandemic?
that.
I've been immunized, he says. Remember that? I've been immunized,
It's true. I do remember that. Yeah, but I
like
don't know. I'm surprised you
MacArthur.
don't know about ayahuasca. Kurt, do you know about
I shall
ayahuasca?
return.
Hmm.
Eisenhower, I will go to Korea. Rodgers, I've been immunized. Ivermectin, horse warmer. People
All
were
right.
actually saying that that would cure you of COVID. And now here we are again, getting ready for the next COVID booster next month. Oh, the irony,
You
the
get you get
horror.
you get the booster, right?
Um, I've had every shot that I can have.
Okay.
I've had a pneumonia vaccine. I've had the shingles vaccine. I've had the flu shot. I've
Right.
had all the COVID shots. I'm like a pin cushion.
I mean, back in history, did you get like a polio vaccine back in the day?
Actually, it came to me in a uh, what do you call it? Penicillin stained sugar cube, like
Oh,
you would give to a horse for being good. Yeah,
a horse warmer.
we got to eat a sugar cube that was stained with the vaccine,
Wow.
thanks to um, Salk and Saban,
Okay.
the two
Salk
the
and
two
Saban.
uh, the two great Jews of
Nick Sa-
vaccine world.
Nick
Not Lou
Saban?
Saban, no, no,
Oh, okay.
no. He's got his own battles, by the
Oh
way,
my goodness.
according to
I
what
think
I saw of that first game against Texas.
yeah,
Oh,
we were right.
what do you think of this as a Christmas gift idea? I'm giving my UT Longhorns grad brother-in-law. I could say this in public because he doesn't watch the podcast. Um, I'm giving him for Christmas a $50 ticket on the Texas Longhorns to win the national championship at 8.5 to 1. What do you think of that?
That's a nice gift.
That's a nice gift.
Yeah.
And if they win, which he thinks that they're going to win the national championship, all he has to do is mail it in, and back to him in the mail comes $500.
Every
Awesome.
time every time I go to Vegas, I put down a bet for my mom to go for the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. Never paid off yet.
I am an awesome brother-in-law. I think that's just a hell of a gift.
Yeah, that's a nice gift.
Something else I found out by reading in the past week, just reading anything. I think it was a pop-up ad on the New York Times website about aging gracefully, the way to age gracefully. And so help me, they were portraying as the poster person for this movement or this topic of all people, Charlize Theron,
Hmm.
the movie star, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, I don't think of what is she like in her mid 40s and still
Yeah.
looks in her mid 20s.
Yeah.
She'll probably never age, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was a while there. She was in just about every movie that was coming out. A little bit too much of her. But she's easy
Saturation,
on the eyes.
Charlize. Well, what
Hmm.
was the George Miller Road Warrior thing from a few years ago
Mad
that actually got
Max.
some uh,
Mad Max.
Fury Road?
Fury
Fury
Road.
Road.
And
Yeah,
she's been in
with Tom
those
Hardy.
what are those godforsaken Fast and the Furious movies, the
She's
car
in that.
movies. Yeah,
I thought
crazy.
I thought that was she better not put her hands on Michelle Rodriguez. I think Michelle Rodriguez is just the gold standard
Oh
for haughty Hispanic pulchritude.
yeah.
Let's go back about 10 years to a place in Malibu at Point Doom Village called Ollie's Duck and Dive. I'm there for lunch and to watch a soccer game. And behind me, the wall behind me is a mirror. Okay. This is 10 years ago. And so I'm just eating my lunch and I'm watching the TV, one of two TVs behind the bar that has a soccer game on, right?
Hmm.
A figure comes into my peripheral vision, which I do not um, I do not acknowledge. And it looks to be moving this way and that way, and this way and that way, looking into the mirrored wall behind me at
Hmm.
his or her reflection.
Okay, okay.
Finally, I give up after, 5 or 10 minutes of, not acknowledging this person. I just turn like 2 o'clock. Charlize Theron
No.
checking herself out in the mirror. This was during her Sean Penn year. Sean Penn was not with her, but I'm looking at this, and then she turns and walks away, and then gets her friends and leaves. And I'm just thinking, if I was Charlize Theron, my entire day would be nothing but one reflective surface after the next.
Oh, yes.
Side mirror on the car, rear view mirror, full length dressing body mirror when I get home. I
Hmm.
would want to get as much of myself
Oh, yes. You
in
wouldn't
a
leave your
mirror
room.
per, per day as I could, because you would think that it's not going to last forever. Maybe there is some sort of magic elixir that will help her look that great forever. But I don't blame her, is what I'm saying, for being so narcissistic.
How many of those back in the 80s? They had a lot of movies where guys jumped into women's bodies, and had like living for a day as, what I'm talking about? Like that whole, I don't know, Freaky Friday type stuff. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's if that ever happened, a guy would not leave his room. He would just be there all day long, just ruining it.
Well, I told you this last podcast. I think I did, that if I had a clitoris, you'd never see me again. You
It's
could
give,
call me and there would be no answer. You could text me and there'd be no reply.
yeah.
If nature had given men the clitorises, you'd never see me
Oh,
again.
just give me a couple boobs and that's all I need. Goodness
You,
gracious.
so you would be the boob man, and I would be the vagina man.
And
That's
Kurt's more
quite.
of an
That's like
Kurt's
two
an ass
super two
man.
new superheroes. We could be queer icons at that rate. It sounds like a time. It sounds like time to call Boob Man, and Boob Man will call Vagina Man, and then he will ask his clitoris where the big trouble is, and they'll go solve the crime, solve the problem.
The porn version of Batman and Robin.
Oh, porn version. Glad you mentioned it. I was listening to. There must not have been anything else to listen to in the way of music on any of the other serious channels. So I went to. It's like a musical history lesson. This Tuxedo Junction, which is music of the 40s. Well,
Okay.
technically, I used to play that music at KOBB before we joined forces at the turn of the century. And I'm just thinking, what if we fused this entertainment approach for radio to the profane Stern thing, the Howard Stern thing? What if you fused those and had a guy read a liner coming out of commercials, something like, and now more of the sounds your grandparents enjoyed while they were fucking? Don't you think that would really? I think that would take off,
Yeah, I think you're right.
because people don't think of their grandparents as sexual creatures,
Of course
but that
not.
had to have happened in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Well, people were doing the
Well,
Charleston or whatever, the cha-cha-cha or whatever the dances were back then. They were dancing lying down also, and
right.
hence the baby boomers like yours truly.
Well, I mean, I think what about today's kid who thinks about their grandparents not being very sexual beings? But that was the swinging 70s, baby. That's when they were no bras and free sex with anybody, right? Back in the day.
The people who I have great difficulty, unless I need to induce vomiting,
Yeah.
great difficulty thinking of uh, in the biblical way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the latest one is Lauren Boebert, who was
Oh
asked to
gosh.
leave a performance of Beetlejuice in Denver.
Good
Have you
God.
seen this footage?
Yes. It's just I don't understand what people are thinking. What
What a
what is she?
class act, huh? What a
Yeah.
class act. I don't like to think of her. And by the way, the
Vaping.
people who challenged her had to have recognized her and realized, oh crap, I just talked some trash to a woman who's packing heat. She's got a gun in that purse. She tells everybody
But
she's packing heat.
but yet they got her out of there
Yeah, good for
without her.
them.
Yeah,
Good for
amazing.
them.
I'm just
How do you vape? How do you vape in public, in a theater in this day and time? The last time I saw this, Ben Kingsley was smoking a cigarette in an airplane in the movie
Mhm.
Sexy Beast, and they asked him to put it out, and he goes, "Oh, this?" They said, "No, I'm not going to take it out." And so Lauren Boebert says, Do you know who I am? I'm going to call your
Oh,
mayor. I'm going to continue vaping and joking and singing
oh,
and kissing this
oh,
guy I'm with. That's what made me ill out of the whole thing. The fact that they were getting chummy.
disgusting. I don't know. You can't even smoke in bars anymore. So I don't I don't know what she thought she was going to get away with.
I was just glad I mean, the implication to me is that in order to go out and enjoy themselves in Denver, they got a sitter for their teenage son who was just impregnated a 14-year-old girl.
Yes.
These are the new Palins, man. They're the new Palins. Did you know that I was the one who pitched a faux reality show called The Palins back in the day when the Palins were a big thing? Trig and Stick and Sarah and Jet and Pig and all
Ellie
those
Mae.
idiotic Alaskan names. I had actors cast as all of the
Oh,
Palins.
well,
Each episode would be a day in the life of the Palins. Where's mom gone? She's killing wolves from a helicopter. What's it to you? The Palins. It would have been a fantastic show.
you had Tina Fey, of course, as Tina, or did you go with the who
No,
was in the movie?
you got to go with unknowns, more realistic unknowns, don't
Okay.
you think?
Yeah, I suppose. Who played her
Yeah.
in the movie? That was shoot. The one woman
Sarah
from Boog.
Palin. Somebody played Sarah Palin in a movie.
Yeah, she was in Boogie Nights. What's her? Who am I? I'm blanking on her name.
Julianne Moore.
Yes, Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore
Yeah,
was Sarah Palin.
in an HBO, one of those HBO made for TV movies. Yeah,
Julianne Moore is a chameleon, isn't she? She's just
yeah,
a
she
freaking
is.
chameleon.
Yeah,
Wasn't she Gloria Steinem in that series about feminism? I think she was Gloria Steinem. And
right,
then she was a dyke in that movie, The Kids Are All Right. She's a chameleon.
right.
She does everything but change colors and turn her head
Isn't
360 degrees away.
wasn't she in Shortcuts too?
Yes. Oh, yes.
You
Nice
remember that
first scene,
one?
don't you think? Oh, yeah. Now, now tell me what a boob man you are. Now that you've seen now that
That
you've
was
seen that groin.
that was one of my favorite Bob Oldies when you went on and on about shirt and no pants. That was one of your favorite scenes. You ever seen that before? And you may never see it again.
Very sexy look, isn't it?
We might have
Have a
lost him.
little,
Kurt,
like
we
a
might have
half
lost him.
t-shirt and a red bush, by the way, natural redhead, red bush, talking to somebody like it was just, just shooting the shit.
Yep. Yep. 20 years ago, we couldn't say Red Bush on any type of media. Now we can. That's nice.
Well, one of my best friends is Red Bush here in the complex. So
you worked with him in the 70s, didn't you?
I named, did we ever discuss how many punk bands I named? I mean, Anal Clooney is just the least of it. I
We should.
named Bad Brains, Circle
Mm,
Jerks. I
mm.
named all of them except for the dead Kennedys. And yet, a scrawny kid named Eric, late 70s, came up to me in San Francisco and said, Bob, I understand that you name punk bands. Ours has already got a name, the Dead Kennedys, but I need a new name for myself. I said, well, Eric, I just happen to have a combination of names here. Tell me what you think of this. How about a chilled, quivering dessert loved by children and the elderly alike around the world, coupled with the most food insecure country on the planet, Jello Biafra. How would you like
Oh,
to be known as that?
that
And he
was
goes,
you.
oh my God, Bob, you've hit the mother load. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you? And I said,
I just,
it's,
I just reading around.
I said, it's on the house.
Uh-huh. I tell you.
Ordinarily, I would charge like $70.
Oh, I know it. You should have a side project. It's a side gig, as they call it these days.
Side side hustle.
Side boob.
Oh, that's a nice look also. Don't you think? I mean, I think that really attractive women, there should be known only to us, of course. We wouldn't want this to get out because it reflects
Right, right.
poorly on us, the objectification of women. Uh, take any attractive woman heralded by the rest of the universe as extremely attractive. Which vantage point do you prefer? From the front, from the back, or from the side?
Oh, you're asking me.
One of my characters in a long ago unproduced script said to the other, you know, love is, how does this go?
Never having to say you're sorry.
No, love is I forget, but the punchline was, but it also can look pretty damn good from the side,
Oh yes, yes.
and it can.
The trend now I see are the ones that kind of come up and you can see the under boob.
Oh man, that's fantastic, isn't it? Men are so visual.
I mean,
Men are so
have they
visual.
invented? Is there anything they haven't invented yet? Some sort of scene, some sort of view that we haven't even begun to think about. What do you think?
I'll tell you a side boob that is not necessarily uh, prominent, but still gets the point across. Have you finally gotten around to seeing the commercial for the little LSU gymnast who's doing the cartwheels on the beach, and she's a spokesperson for something that starts with
Okay.
a V, and it's not what you think. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's some sort of cosmetic, or I don't know. But have you
Okay.
seen this commercial?
I don't think I have, but I'll have to Google it and check it
Apparently,
out.
a cult has formed around this woman wherever she goes, wherever she does her gymnastic thing for LSU.
Hmm.
Uh, they're like deadheads that follow her wherever she goes because they just think she's the
Oh,
cats.
Olivia Dunn.
It is right. How
I
did you
I
find that
have.
so quickly?
I Googled LSU gymnast commercial, but
You're such a wise man. I keep telling millennials who puzzle over stuff, Gen Z puzzling over shit. I'm just going, it's in your phone, man. Just look in the phone. They have
but
entire law libraries in that phone of yours. Just look in the phone.
but I
It's right there, Olivia Dunn.
but that's why we love you, is because you still wonder about things. You could get the answers super fast, but I think you like to wonder and read around, if you know what I mean.
Fun fact. I was the kid late in the movie American Beauty, lying on his back, looking at the clouds. How long has it been since you did that?
Oh,
Just go out
just
in the backyard, lie on your back, and look at the clouds.
I haven't done it in too long. It's very, yeah.
It's just if you ever want to feel really small without taking drugs that would make you feel small, go lie down and look at the clouds as they move across the sky. And you'll realize what a small little particle in the universe you are. And I used to do that as a child. And then because it was right up my alley, I was so practiced at it that I got the role. And the kid you see in American Beauty is
Oh,
me.
yeah. How was it like? What was it like working with Kevin Spacey? He didn't touch
Well,
you.
unfortunately, he did not come on to me,
Oh, okay.
or else,
You
or
would have
else I
made some
could see him in
money.
court.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy working with Annette Bening,
Hmm.
and
She was also in The Kids Are All Right. Wow, that's a dub,
that's right, she was. She was a
Yeah.
dyke, also, wasn't she?
She
She's like a dyke
was.
mother.
Yes.
I'm sorry, a lesbian.
Oh. Oh,
See, that's one thing I could say for Olivia Dunn. At least she plays for our team. A
right.
lot of really great looking women out there, they play for the other team, and it's just such a source of grief for me.
I think the same. I put in the same category as Olivia Dunn are those two little basketball players from Miami, the two blonde twins. You know what I'm talking
I've not
about?
seen them. Miami
Oh,
of Florida?
yeah. You might want to Google them.
Really? Are they tall?
No,
Are
they're
they tall
not.
drinks of
Not at
water?
all. They're about maybe if they're 5'8", 5'10", somewhere around there. They're not tall at all.
Point guards.
Yeah, point guard,
Wow.
shooting guard. Yeah, I think they're both. I don't know how to describe it. They were both making money because of that NIL situation with the payment to the college students. It's kind of
I
crazy.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of homosexuality, I've always wanted to ask somebody this. You remember the movie Brokeback Mountain?
Yes.
Did you,
I have never seen it. You know that, and that's
damn
kind
it.
of odd.
Kurt, have you seen Brokeback Mountain?
Nope.
Damn it.
What do you have to
Well,
ask? I've probably seen enough of like or read
once
enough about it.
once the cloud of dust starts kicking up, once they decide we're going to do this,
Okay.
they're going to get familiar. And it's in a tent or a teepee or something. Hell, I don't know.
It's a
But
tent, I
once
think.
it's like mutually decided upon in a wordless kind of way, there's a telepathic thing going on among the gay cowboys, apparently. And just all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. And each knows exactly where to go.
It's a passion.
It wasn't discussed at all who was going to be pitching and who was going to be catching.
Just
Is that instinct?
they fell into their
Are,
roles.
are is one reading from the other's words or gestures
Body
the
language,
position to assume? Huh?
body language. They're
Yeah.
just they're just reading
How does that
around.
work? I'm probably barking up the wrong straight man here. It's
But
probably not the thing to ask a heterosexual
maybe we want
about.
to book. Do we want to get a homosexual on the show and just like interview them?
Man, throw a stick, hit 6 of them out here. So that would be no problem. I would be glad to have one on to help us with the mystery of the first love scene, the first sex scene in Brokeback Mountain. Both of those guys, by the way, are straight in real life. Gyllenhaal and the late Heath Ledger. There is an element out here that says if you're going to portray a gay guy, you better be a gay guy in real life, which to me is nonsense. Whatever happened to acting? You know, did Al Pacino need to be a mob boss in order to play a mob boss? Please don't insult my intelligence. But I'm just wondering how they went over the
Yeah.
material with the director Ang Lee, the producer Bill Polad. How do you think we should play this? Would Anus, I think that was his name, Anus or Ennis, something like
Anus,
that. How would Anus know
anus and
to present
penis.
his Ennis to the other guy uh, as emotions reached a fever pitch? How would he know to do that?
But
What if they accidentally assumed the wrong positions
now,
and knocked heads?
okay,
That could make for a bleeping blooper.
I didn't see the movie. They didn't actually have sex though, right? You just were just imagining it, or they went into the thing. They didn't like show them
These were the days before an intimacy coach, but I got to believe that there was no penetration
right.
between these two heterosexual actors. But it was pretty darn yeah, it didn't have all the Pornhub style caterwauling, but it did look fairly convincing.
What do you think it would be more difficult to pretend for if you're two straight actors to pretend to have sex or to actually kiss? What do you think would be harder? I think the actual kiss would be difficult.
Did you see the movie Cruising?
Right. Well, I don't know
Did
about
you?
that one, but I've seen enough on any television show these days have two guys
Well, that's
making
true.
out.
Even commercials. Even
Right.
commercials.
Yeah. I mean, I just like
I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask.
the guy to ask would be the Spanish head of their soccer federation.
You
He
remember?
knows all about kissing,
Yeah,
unwanted kisses.
but not same-sex kissing.
Yeah.
This is a question that you'll notice
But
I did not ask you during the 20 questions for Kel Gradke podcast episode.
have
Have
you
you
ever
ever
kissed a
kissed
man?
another man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a personal one. But that's the thing. That's international, though. I feel grabbing one man grabbing another man's hand and planting a big kiss on his face. That's a
Mm.
European thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. That's also a part of the world where they kiss once per cheek, right?
Right, right.
But I know the question you want to ask me, and the answer is one. I was a small child, and my cousin Reed and I decided to find out what it was like. And he spat in
Wait,
my
the
mouth.
Brokeback Mountain thing or the kiss thing?
That's the kiss thing.
Oh,
We
okay.
didn't know about pitching and catching. We
Well,
were just
that was a different pitching
canoodling.
and catching was ball back in the
We were
day.
like 5 years old, Cal,
Oh,
and just very curious. And
figuring
Reed
things out,
spat in my
reading
mouth, and
around.
it
Yeah.
put me off kissing another man for the rest of my life. Brokeback Mountain, you got to see that. That is, I
Well,
mean, it's a super drama, and I was going to say Anne Bancroft. No, Anne
Hathaway.
Hathaway, yes, and Shell Williams. Does that make sense?
That sounds about right.
She was the real Mrs. Heath Ledger, was she not, for a while?
Or were
And
they
now
not
she's back on
together
the
and then
market.
they did they get married after that movie? Did they like fall in love? You know, so many times actors and actresses fall in love in movie sets. Maybe that was the one. She thought he was unavailable and she got him. I don't know, kind of.
I'd like to know the percentage of actors who fall in love on movie sets versus the number of actors who just pair off and hook up on movie sets and never see each other again.
That's a good point
I'll
too.
bet that's in the vast silent majority. That's my official position.
Gotcha.
Have you ever been awakened by an owl outside your bedroom? Have you ever had an owl disturb your sleep? This happened to me since we last saw each other.
No. In Minnesota,
Hoo,
you know,
hoo, hoo,
Minnesota's got a
all
ton
the
of
frickin'
wildlife.
night long. And I thought it might be because like a cat in heat. Has a cat in heat outside your bedroom window kept you awake?
No, a lot of howling animals like dogs or
Yeah.
coyotes, but nothing, or wolves, I
Both
guess.
have happened to me with the owl. I turned to the partner and I said, if this owl is making that sound because he wants to be filleted, I'm ready to go out there and fillet him right now if it'll shut his ass up so
Wow.
I
So
can get some sleep.
when he said who, you said me. I got it.
Just get a
Okay.
towel ready. Just get a towel ready when I get back because I'm going to need to towel off. And then, well, like with the cat, that was in Gem Lake across 61 from White Bear Lake.
Yeah, I remember.
And the cat outside was just, oh my God. It's such a bad way. Somebody fuck me. And I turned to the then partner and I said, I'm going to get a number 2 pencil and I'm going to go grab that cat by the scruff of its neck and
Oh,
pencil fuck it to death,
oh.
but and then send it on its way because I have got to get some sleep. I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to deal with El Gradke.
I'm going to call the
Actually,
humane. Is
this was during the KSTP years.
there a
You were
statute of
just
limitations with the
you
Humane
were just
Society?
a glimmer in your father's eye at that time.
I guess you're right.
Statute of limitations would have run out on that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
often wonder where that cat is, and I hope it's pushing up
Well,
daisies because it was really annoying.
they have
I mean,
9
just
lives.
if you're going to wind up without an old man, when nature calls, in the middle of the month, who do you have to blame but yourself? I would ask that of cats, and I would ask that of human beings. Don't don't come crying to me if you wind up in heat with nothing to, you know. I'll refer you to my aunt in Texas, Gwinnell, my mother's sister. She's the one I told you about with the room full of a broad range of entertainment going on, the glow of the Fox News, the goblet of red wine, the expandable tackle box full of vibrators, and the oxygen kit mask, like Frank Booth in Blue Velvet. That is every night at Gwinnell's house. That's what goes on.
Every
Fogging up the oxygen mask to Sean Hannity, his mouth or whatever. I don't know what she's attracted to on him.
food.
And she's got the number 9, going.
The number 9.
Whatever.
That's
I have to believe they have numbers and names just like Ferraris. And then the
golf
Chateauneuf du
clubs.
Pape. Huh? What?
Golf clubs. Take out the number 9, the
Oh
pitching
yeah.
wedge,
Yeah, the lob wedge.
the putter.
Did I tell you that I heard from Terry Knight recently? Terry Knight,
From what was that? What radio?
KSTP and other radio stations, and
Yeah.
also Channel 4 in the morning. She was a traffic person. Remember that?
Yeah. Where is she now? Where is she now?
She is, according to her LinkedIn page, she is a comedian now. Did I tell you I also heard, speaking of comedians, I heard from Fancy Ray McCloning,
Yes, you did tell me that.
the man who nicknamed me the Vanilla Talksicle. And he still
I
seems to
just
be very proud of that. He says, "Do people still call you that?" And I said, "Oh, hell yes, Ray.
I
They
used to
call me a
book
lot of
him.
things, but Vanilla Talksicle is one of them, yes."
I used to book him on a lot of shows, whether it was with Ruth or what have you back in the WCCO days, and I could never figure out why.
What do you mean couldn't figure out why?
I don't know. There wasn't. He was kind of funny, kind of outrageous, but
I thought
really
I
hasn't.
thought he was in the Little Richard mold. He was black and flamboyant and
Yeah.
just, full of life. He was like a black Rip Taylor. Remember Rip Taylor,
Yes.
who would come onto the Mike Douglas set throwing his sequins and shit? Just
Yeah.
in love with life.
I
That's the
guess.
kind of person you want to be next to when the big lightning bolt hits.
Yeah, I guess. I guess that does come across on radio. I mean, you're not going to see the glitter being thrown, but you can imagine it, I guess.
You're right, though. Fancy Ray's act would have lost a little something in the strictly audio medium because he was performative, as they say these days.
Right.
He was flamboyant, and I know people who thought Ray was,
Right.
you know.
Oh, wait, now what? I remember seeing him at a wedding. A friend of ours got married. We went and there was this, extravagant looking black man in like a, he had the suit coat with the fur collar, that type of thing, and wearing the backwards hat, and I was like, who is that guy? Looks familiar. Oh, that's Fancy Ray McCloney. Oh,
Yeah.
who knows? He gets around
Also
still.
from that era of Twin Cities Entertainment, I guess there's a documentary headed your way centering on Mike Veck, formerly of the St. Paul Saints.
I heard
You
that.
familiar with that?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm excited. When is it supposed to come out? Any idea?
I would think the next month or two it's coming to LA, usually to one of the Laemmle theaters.
Speaking of documentaries, sports documentaries, I'm guessing you're not, one of your nevers is Welcome to Wrexham, the thing with Ryan Reynolds on Hulu.
Can't get into it. That reminds me, I have a new never.
Okay.
Her name is Olivia Rodrigo.
I don't know.
Never.
She's kind of cute. Come on.
Oh, she is cute, but I'm just telling you, anything that is popular on that scale, I don't want to have anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
You know my exceptions: Beatles, Seinfeld. Everybody else out of the room. I don't need your fans around me.
Okay.
You're not my
Well,
guru.
never.
You need to hand this to the car wash professional at the end of the hall and have an A1 day. That's what you need to do.
I always think it's funny. Back in the day, when your kids were little, you would go to movies that you could get a good nap in. That's how you would rate the kids movie, as if you were able to get a sleep through it. The kid wouldn't bother you. You'll be fine.
I wish I could remember what that Adam Sandler movie was, where I woke up from the nap and he had a rodent of some kind on his head.
It was that
And
Wishes.
people were laughing uproariously. Was it Click?
No, it was something with wishes where the kids got wishes or something that rained jelly beans. I don't know what it was, but I know
this was my greatest napping achievement. I woke up from an hour nap to see Adam Sandler with the thing on his head. And what did I do? I went back to sleep. That's just, I could not do that today. That was when I was really in my napping prime.
Right. Most people would look at that scene and say, how did that rodent get on his head? How did we get to this point in the movie where that would happen? Not you. You went right back to sleep, rolled right over and went to sleep.
It was, I took a lot of bullets for that family, taking those children to Fievel Goes West and, goddamn Adam Sandler movies. And
I know this was before Pixar.
Oh,
you couldn't even.
What about ones that you took your children to? I'll bet you had a great time there, didn't you?
I was thinking the reason I was comparing it is because back in the day it was more TV, and all the TV shows, the Disney shows of, whether, I don't know how to even describe them, but the reason I brought it up is because the singer that you just brought up,
Olivia Rodrigo
was in a Disney show called Bizaardvark or something. I remember the kids watching it and thought she's very cute, and thinking because Ariana Grande is the same way. You know who Ariana Grande is, right?
I do, and she's another never.
But I just thought she was in one of those kids shows that I watched with the kids, and I know it's wrong, but I thought, gosh, she's very cute.
You know what? I might have listened to an Ariana Grande song, except for two things. Didn't she used to go to bed briefly with Pete Jacobson?
She did, yes, briefly.
Okay, and then also I think I saw footage, unless I dreamed this, of her swiping the icing off a cake in a cafeteria or something and licking it off her finger. That also put me off. Oh. Sometimes the things that celebrities do, they put me off, and I don't want to go near them, even as a fan or not a fan.
Did you all hear about the latest celebrity coupling? Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce from Kansas City Chiefs.
This goes back to being bilingual. You might as well be speaking another language to me right now, which I don't understand.
Come
you say
on.
The word Taylor Swift to me, I want to say, sorry, no speaky Ingy.
Never.
No speaky Swifty.
Okay.
No. I want to end the podcast on a note, but a fun note, I think, having to do with violence. You'll notice that I said have an A1 day. That's right out of Breaking Bad, the car wash. And I'm now 3 episodes away from the end of the series.
Wow.
The lack of Ehrmantraut and Gus Fring have left me with only Bob Odenkirk to look forward to seeing, but it forces me to watch all the scenes in each episode, okay? I have never, ever seen anything as violent in the televised medium as the elimination of the imprisoned Airman Trout 9 by poking holes in them with the little shivs and setting them ablaze with gasoline. Do you remember that scene? It
Yeah,
was almost
very
like a
vaguely, but I remember.
End of Godfather 1 type monologue
Yeah,
where all the
right,
murders happened while he was seeing to the christening of the baby.
right.
Don't you think that was kind of
I
reminiscent of that?
I think there's a lot of things out there, but yeah, that was very reminiscent of Godfather.
I'm so glad that you guys unofficially, as a team, basically compelled me through peer pressure or whatever it was, alcohol, I don't know, to see Breaking Bad because I'm really going to miss it when it's over. But I hope to have an A1 day.
Well,
Sub article A to this topic. I've told you this before that if you find out that I have a gun, I don't have one, but if you found out that I did, one of two things has happened. Someone has just been shot, or someone is about to be shot. This was proved this past Saturday when I came out of the Monica Theater in Santa Monica on 2nd Street, seeing Theater Camp with little Molly Gordon of The Bear. It's very clever, fast, and funny. I would recommend it. And I'm walking back to my car with the partner on an otherwise unpopulated sidewalk. And I realized that at my age, I walk slowly. I don't walk as fast as the Gen Z and the millennials around me. But what kind of effort does one have to go to walk so closely behind me that you clip my heel? I wheeled. I swung around to confront my attacker, and as you might expect, it was a clueless Gen Z. I could have decked him if I had had a gun. He'd be dead, and I'd be in prison right now, and my grandchildren would be very disappointed.
yeah. Wow. Yeah,
Isn't that something?
that's
How I
crazy.
want to get along with my fellow man, but my fellow men of a certain age range just do not respect
That's
my butt, as Bob Seger said in a song long ago. Uh,
yeah.
they don't like how slowly I strut. They do not respect my butt.
And on that note,
On that note, Bob Seger saying, have an A1 day. We'll see you next week.
bye-bye.
Bye bye.